Aries, welcome to your astrology reading for the month of November. So, before I jump into this, this is going to be most applicable for your rising sign. It's your ascendant, the sign that rules your first house. This is how other people perceive you. It's still applicable for your sun sign, which is how you express yourself, and then also your moon sign, which is how you process everything internally. So, really understanding all three is going to give you a better picture on how the month is going to play out for you. Jumping right into it, because we have a new moon on the 1st in the sign of Scorpio. So that's going to happen at 8:47 in the morning Eastern time. For you, the sun and moon are both going to be sitting in your eighth house. Eighth house is death and rebirth. It's a very deep, passionate type of energy. So it's like, let's just get in here and get in deep. I love to see this. It's the way that you're expressing yourself is going to have that kind of passionate flair to it, very transformational. This might be very different than the way that you normally express yourself because this is going to be very emotion based. We do have the sun and moon trine Saturn in Pisces. So Saturn retrograde in Pisces. That is sitting in your 12th house. Your 12th house is about your spiritual side. So it's your inner self, it's you away from the public. What do you like to do when it's just you? And what really kind of excites you here? Saturn retrograde does indicate that you've been doing a lot of work internally, trying to figure things out. What do you want to accomplish in your life? What kind of goals are you setting for yourself? This new moon is actually going to really help you figure that out. It's going to help you get clear on the work that you need to do. The only challenging aspect I see is that it will square any kind of changes that are happening in your career. So it's going to create some obstacles or challenges relative to the changes taking place in your career. So it could be the structure of your career, whatever this is. It's definitely a chapter that's closing. Pluto in Capricorn is about to leave the sign of Capricorn. And so it's about to exit your career and public reputation and move on. Just wanted to highlight that. Then we have Mercury enter Sagittarius. So that's going to happen on the 2nd at 3:18 in the afternoon Eastern time. For you, Sagittarius rules your house of growth and expansion. So Mercury in this house, Sagittarius energy, ninth house energy, very similar energy. And so you're going to be having a lot of high level conversations. What do you want to accomplish? What kind of goals are you setting for yourself? What kind of growth do you see for yourself? This is easily going to blend with how you feel about your own expansion, your own growth, your own transformation here. It's going to easily blend with any kind of actions that you're taking in your home environment. It's going to easily flow with getting clear on the goals and the dreams that you have for yourself. So I love to see this because it's like one feeds the other. You're setting these goals for yourself, but you're not 100% clear on what they need to be. And what you're doing is you're having these kind of growth conversations that are actually making that easier. You might be talking to somebody here who helps really kind of narrow that down, hone in on what exactly you're trying to accomplish for yourself. And then sextile Pluto and Capricorn, these kind of growth conversations that you're having are going to create some sort of opportunity for changes to take place at work. So that's a really positive one. Where the day before we didn't see it as that, more challenging aspect, this is where it gets a little bit easier. The only challenging aspect I see here is as you think about your growth conversations, anything that you're trying to accomplish here, it's going to be opposite to the changes that are happening to your personal finances. So whatever that means, whether it's these growth conversations require you to spend more money, save less money, something along those lines. That would be the changes that are taking place, where your spending and savings habits are changing. Your growth might be just opposite. Those kind of changes that you're trying to implement there. Then we have Mars enter the sign of Leo. So that happens on the 3rd at 11:10 p.m. Eastern Time. And so Mars and Leo for you is sitting in your fifth house. Fifth house is your house of fun, it's creativity, it's passion projects, hobbies, children, short-term relationships, all of the fun things. Mars and Leo will trine Mercury and Sagittarius. So when you think about these growth conversations, what kind of actions are you taking as they relate to kids or your hobbies, passion projects, things like that? How does that aid your growth and expansion here? And so this could be something where you're using your hobbies or your passions to really stimulate and further some sort of growth for yourself here. Mars and Leo will also help you get clear on the goals and the dreams that you have for yourself. It's going to create an opportunity for you to make additional changes to your personal finances. So where it's the day before with the Mercury in Sagittarius, We saw some challenging aspect here as it relates to your personal income, but what we're getting here is it's creating an opportunity. So there could be something relative to doing some sort of action with your passion projects or your hobbies that actually allows you to maybe save more money. Could be something along those lines. That would be the Uranus retrograde in Taurus energy. This Mars and Leo will be opposite Pluto and Capricorn. So Mars and Leo, the actions that you're taking relative to kids, your passion projects, things like that, they're going to be opposites of the changes that are happening within your work environment. And then we do have Mars and Leo square, Chiron, retrograde, in Aries. And so these actions that you're taking relative to kids, your passion projects, things like that, it's going to create some sort of obstacle or challenge to you healing some sort of personal wound. This may be a physical wound, like your physical body, or maybe something relative to the way that people perceive you, because that's all first house energy. It does get a little bit better. The Chiron energy isn't as strong this month as I've seen in prior months. I'm going to highlight one thing and then we'll come back to it at the end of the month. But Mercury does station retrograde in the sign of Sagittarius this month. The pre-shadow actually starts on the 7th. So that's where we start to experience the slowdown where Mercury, instead of being an external communication, now becomes an internal communication, maybe the way that you're thinking about things. So just kind of keep that in mind, file that away. On the 11th, Venus enters the sign of Capricorn. So that's going to happen at 1:26 in the afternoon Eastern time. And so Venus and Capricorn sitting in your career and public reputation, this is a lot of harmony, balance, bringing things together, emphasizing what you value about your career and maybe the way that you're structured in your career. I like to see this. This is actually where it does help you heal some sort of wound. That wound could be related to the way that people perceive you. There could be something there that this helps balance. As you find that balance at work, heals the way that people see you, or the wound, because it's your wound. So it's your perception of the way that people see you. Keep that in mind. It's your own insecurity there. Where I do see some challenging aspects is when it comes to the goals that you've set for yourself or the work that you're doing internally to kind of work on yourself. That's where it's creating challenges. Then on the 15th, we have Saturn stationed direct in the sign of Pisces. So that's going to happen at 8:21 in the morning Eastern time. Saturn, while it was retrograde, meant that you were doing a lot of internal reflection, trying to do internal work to go after your goals and dreams. Now that Saturn's stationed direct, you can start to do this external. This is still sitting in your internal house. This is your 12th house, so this is you away from the public, things that you keep to yourself, your inner self, the way that you kind of want to be seen. What this is really coming down to is any kind of goals that you set for yourself, they have to be internal first. You have to kind of understand who you want to be before you can start being who you want to be. And that's really what this is coming down to. And so when Saturn stations direct in Pisces, it is going to create obstacles or challenges relative to your growth. So any kind of growth conversations, because it's squaring both Mercury and Sagittarius, which is growth conversations, Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, which is also growth conversations because it's in your third house of communication. And so this is a lot of you kind of internal versus external. Internally, let me start working on what I need to do so that externally I can do something later. Then the same day that we have Saturn stationed direct in Pisces, we have the full moon in the sign of Taurus. So that's going to happen at 4:28 in the afternoon Eastern time. And so when this happens, you've got the sun and the moon at opposite points in the sky. For you, this is really sitting in financial houses. So we've got the sun in your 8th house, we've got the moon in your 2nd house. Sun in your 8th house is all about the money that you earn. So there could be something that you really value about the money that you earn, or you feel it's like a growth opportunity, transformation type of opportunity. It's a lot of passion connected to this house because it is in Scorpio. And that is going to be opposite how you feel about the money that you currently have. And so it's kind of a push-pull. You have to figure out a balance if that's what you're looking for. But because of the placement here, so we've got the moon, but we also have Uranus in the sign of Taurus. And so these changes that are happening in your personal finances are also going to be opposite the way that you express yourself, the way that you feel about the money that you make, or I'm trying to find another way to kind of show the distinction between these two, but it's really coming down to maybe the money that you pay out to other people monthly, the debt that you have, inheritance, things like that. So it's their opposition. So kind of I know I'm not being very clear on this, but it really does come down to what are you trying to achieve? What is it that you're trying to go after? What are you trying to express versus what do you already have and maybe want to hold on to? There could be a disconnect there. During this full moon, we'll have the sun trine Mars in the sign of Leo. And so Mars in Leo for you is sitting in your fifth house. And so when you kind of express yourself or maybe the way that you feel about the money that you have, you might love your paycheck. That could absolutely be the case because Scorpio could be, because it's a deep, passionate type of energy. It's it's going to easily flow with whatever actions that you're taking from a hobby standpoint or a passion standpoint, maybe related to children. You could be making money off your hobbies. That could easily be the case. Easily be the case here. Now, during this full moon, we do have that Uranus energy, but we do have some positives here. So when it comes to the goals that you're trying to work on, whatever it is from that 12th house standpoint, the inner self, these kind of your ideal self, the more clarity that you can get, the better. And this full moon is actually going to help you there. So the way that you're expressing yourself, the money that you have, that is going to easily blend with whatever goals you're trying to set for yourself. The way that you feel about the money you already have is going to create an opportunity for you to get clear on these goals for yourself. So you can see how they're both really creating a positive spin on that or positive aspect. And we have the same thing when it comes to your career. So the money that you earn creates an opportunity for changes in your work environment. How you feel about that money you earn creates that opportunity. How you feel about the money you already have easily blends with whatever changes are happening in your work environment or whatever changes you're trying to make to your work environment. And that's really the last time that we see Pluto in Capricorn because then Pluto enters Aquarius on the 19th at 3:30 in the afternoon Eastern Time. And so Pluto in Aquarius, this is in your 11th house. So think of your ideal friendships, the connections you have with those people. This is very liberating type of change. And so really kind of focus on things are going to be changing here within your friendships over the next 20 years, roughly 20 years. And during this time, but right now more specifically, it's going to create an opportunity for you to maybe make more money, feel really good about making more money, feel very passionate about that. These liberating changes will easily blend. These changes within your friendships, it's easily going to blend with the changes happening in your personal finances here. So maybe there's something happening with your friends where you don't have to spend as much money. And so now that's going to be a positive because you changed your savings habits. It's going to, these changes with friends are going to create an opportunity for you to get clear on the goals that you're setting for yourself. Where it does create a little bit of challenge is in your fourth and your fifth house. And so, how you feel about your home life and any kind of action that you're taking relative to children or your hobbies, things like that. This is where your changes in your friendships are going to be directly conflicting those. You can work with the energy, you can find that happy medium, but you can kind of see going out with friends versus being at home, maybe with children, something like that. And then we have the sun enter Sagittarius. So that's going to happen on the 21st at 2:57 in the afternoon Eastern Time. And so just like Mercury entering Sagittarius, very similar energy where this is very honest and direct self-expression that is really centered on your growth. This is really positive because it's going to easily blend with whatever action that you're taking relative to children or your passion projects, things like that. It's going to easily flow with getting clear on the goals that you're trying to set for yourself. Who do you want to be? Who's your ideal self? It's going to create an opportunity for changes to take place in your friendships here. So whatever you're trying to do to grow and expand, it seems to be really positive. The only downside I'm seeing right now is an opposition to this Uranus retrograde in Taurus. So when it comes to the changes that are happening to your personal finances here, whatever you're trying to grow and expand, does seem to be completely opposite. So it could be that this growth and expansion involves spending money that maybe goes against the changes that you're implementing in your personal finances. You can find a way to work through it. It just requires some effort. And then finally, on the 25th at 9:42 p.m. Eastern Time, we have Mercury stationing retrograde in Sagittarius. And so the pre-shadow began on November 7th, stations direct on the 25th. I'm sorry, stations retrograde on the 25th, stations direct on December 15th, and then we exit the post-shadow on January 2nd. So we're with this energy for quite some time. And so Mercury is the planet of communication, but it's also about how you process things. And when Mercury stations retrograde, it's a lot of internal reflection. And for you, this is going to be relative to your growth. So when you're thinking about, okay, what do I need to grow and expand? What do I need to do here? And being honest with yourself, this is where the internal reflection and really kind of accountability is coming into play here. And because we are doing this internal growth kind of analysis, internal reflection, it's going to be opposite anything that you're trying to expand because it's really more of let me focus on what I need to expand before I expand it. It's also going to actually help you heal that wound. The more that you think about your growth and expansion and what it is that you're trying to accomplish there, it's going to easily blend with whatever you need to do to heal the wound, whether it's a physical wound or it's the way that people see you, whatever that perception is, this is going to help you here. There's something about your growth and expansion that's going to help this wound heal. Where it's going to create some sort of challenge here is the more that you think about and spend this time internally reflecting on your growth and expansion, it's going to make it very difficult for you to think about and really get clear on your goals for yourself, like who do you want to be, and then actually working on it. But you can kind of see why, because you're reflecting on things. And so you kind of need to do this reflection before you can get clear on who you want to be and how you want to be seen and the work that you need to do on yourself internally in order to be that person. So, Aries, this is your reading. I hope it resonates. If it did, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Take care.